The quaint coffee shop, with its aromatic blend of espresso and soft jazz, was my daily sanctuary. Little did I know that a seemingly innocuous encounter would spiral into a nightmare beyond my darkest fears. It all began with a friendly exchange of pleasantries. A stranger, dressed in a nondescript coat, occupied the seat across from mine. We exchanged polite smiles, and I returned my focus to the book in front of me. His presence seemed harmless, just another face in the bustling crowd of the morning rush. Days passed without incident until one evening when I found an unassuming package on my doorstep. Intrigued, I unwrapped it to reveal a small, framed photograph. It depicted me sitting at my usual corner in the coffee shop, engrossed in my book, unaware of the lens capturing the moment. The unease settled in, but I brushed it off as a bizarre prank. However, the packages kept coming. Each delivery was a chilling portrayal of my daily life. Photographs capturing my routines, my favorite spots around the city, even glimpses of me through the windows of my home. The stalker's meticulous observations became evident, leaving me grappling with the terrifying realization that someone was shadowing my every move. The pictures weren't the only harbingers of my tormentor's presence. Enclosed in the packages were handwritten notes, each more disturbing than the last. They spoke of my habits, my deepest fears, and intimate details only those closest to me should know. Panic set in as the stalker's knowledge extended beyond the surface, delving into the intricacies of my private life. Haunted by paranoia, I changed my routines, frequented different coffee shops, and even moved to a new apartment. But the packages persisted, finding me like an unrelenting specter. The stalker wasn't deterred by physical distance or altered habits. They revealed the psychological torment they were inflicting upon me. I sought solace in the arms of the police, sharing the chilling evidence of my unseen pursuer. However, their investigations yielded no leads. No fingerprints, no traces of the mysterious stranger. It was as if the stalker existed solely in the shadows, leaving behind only their eerie gifts as a testament to their presence. The notes escalated in their sinister tone, transitioning from observations to ominous threats. They spoke of an intimate understanding of my fears and vulnerabilities, promising that my life would unravel unless I complied with their unspoken demands. The weight of paranoia became suffocating, and the once familiar corners of my existence now felt like traps set by an unseen predator. As the days turned into sleepless nights, I began to question everyone around me. Friends, colleagues, even family members were scrutinized with a newfound suspicion. The stalker's ability to infiltrate my life was unnerving, and I struggled to trust even those who had once been my closest confidants. My relationships strained under the pressure of this invisible threat. Friends distanced themselves, unable to comprehend the depth of my paranoia. Colleagues exchanged wary glances, and I became the office enigma, the subject of hushed whispers in the break room. The isolation intensified as the stalker's manipulations extended beyond the confines of my personal life, infiltrating the very fabric of my social existence. In a desperate attempt to break free from the clutches of my unseen tormentor, I sought the help of a private investigator. Together, we delved into the labyrinth of my past, attempting to uncover any clues that could unmask the stalker. Yet, the more we unraveled, the more enigmatic the situation became. It was as if the stalker had anticipated our every move, staying one step ahead in this disturbing game of cat and mouse. The final package arrived on a stormy night, a stark contrast to the calm facade of my apartment. As I unwrapped it, dread coiled around my chest. Inside was a single photograph, a chilling snapshot of me asleep in my bed, oblivious to the lens capturing my vulnerability. Accompanying the image was a note, devoid of the stalker's usual cryptic language. "I am closer than you think." The words echoed through the silence of my apartment, resonating with the ominous truth that the stalker had breached the last bastion of my privacy. The realization struck like a physical blow, and the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred into a disorienting haze. Driven to the brink of desperation, I installed security cameras, reinforced locks, and sought refuge in the anonymity of hotel rooms. But no fortress could shield me from the relentless pursuit of the unseen adversary. Sleep became an elusive luxury, and every creak of the floorboards, Every distant sound sent shivers down my spine. The investigation took a toll on my sanity, blurring the lines between victim and prey. The private investigator, too, succumbed to the frustration of chasing a phantom. In the darkness of our shared despair, a haunting truth emerged. The stalker was not a mere mortal but a spectral force, a malevolent presence that defied the confines of logic. As the days stretched into an interminable nightmare, I became a shell of my former self. The world outside my windows transformed into a haunting tableau, each passerby a potential agent of the unseen tormentor. The relentless pursuit left me teetering on the precipice of madness, unable to escape the suffocating grip of fear. As the authorities closed in on the perpetrator, I found solace in the fading echoes of my ordeal. The nightmare, though etched into the fabric of my past, gradually receded, leaving behind scars that served as a testament to the fragility of security and the relentless persistence of unseen horrors. Yet, even as the physical presence of the stalker was extinguished, the haunting question lingered in the recesses of my mind. Could I ever truly escape the shadows that had woven themselves into the very fabric of my existence? The night was dark, and the streets were empty as I navigated my way home, tires humming softly on the deserted asphalt. Streetlights cast long shadows that danced eerily along the edges of the road. A chill ran down my spine, though I couldn't quite put my finger on why. The unease settled into the pit of my stomach like a weight as I turned onto my street. The only sound was the low hum of the engine. Glancing into the rearview mirror, my eyes met a sight that gave me chills. A pair of headlights, far too close for comfort, trailed my every move. My heart skipped a beat. Just a coincidence, I whispered to myself, my voice barely audible over the car's engine. I made a left turn at the next intersection, hoping to shake off the relentless pursuer, but the headlights persisted, faithfully shadowing my every move. Panic clawed at my chest as I began to doubt the innocence of this midnight pursuit. Why would someone be tailing me in the dead of night? My grip tightened on the steering wheel as I approached my neighborhood. A knot formed in my stomach, and I made a split-second decision. Instead of turning into my street, I continued past it, driving aimlessly through the quiet suburban roads. My heart pounded in my ears, and my breaths came in short gasps. No matter how many turns I took, the shadowy figure stayed with me, a malevolent force in the darkness. I reached for my phone, fingers trembling as I dialed the police. "There's someone following me," I stammered, the desperation evident in my voice. The dispatcher assured me that they would send a patrol car to investigate, but the reassurance did little to quell the rising terror. As I continued to navigate the empty streets, the distant wail of sirens grew louder, signaling the arrival of the police. My relief was short-lived. The patrol car scanned the area, its flashing lights cutting through the night, but they found nothing. No trace of the ominous pursuer. The officer offered words of caution and drove away, leaving me to face the darkness alone. The following days were marked by a growing paranoia that gnawed at the edges of my sanity. Every glance in the rearview mirror became a tense moment of anticipation. I altered my routine, took different routes, and even ventured out at odd hours, but the haunting presence persisted. The stalker, always just out of sight, played a sick game of cat and mouse. I became a recluse in my own life, avoiding social outings and keeping my blinds tightly shut. Sleep eluded me, replaced by restless nights filled with the haunting echoes of those headlights in the rearview mirror. I wondered if the stalker reveled in my fear, relishing the power they held over my every move. Desperation led me to seek the help of a private investigator. Days turned into weeks as they combed through the details of my life, searching for any hint of the relentless pursuer. Yet, the stalker left no breadcrumbs, no clues to their identity. It was as if they existed solely in the shadows, a phantom haunting my every step. As the investigator delved deeper into the mystery, a chilling revelation emerged. This wasn't a random act. The stalker knew me intimately, as if they had studied every facet of my life. Photos from my childhood, details about my relationships, and even obscure memories resurfaced in the investigator's findings. It was as if the stalker had a front row seat to the story of my life. The investigator's words sent a shiver down my spine. This person isn't just following you, they're toying with you, watching from the shadows, delighting in your fear. The realization struck me like a physical blow. I was no longer a victim of circumstance. I was a pawn in a dark and twisted game. Haunted by the unseen predator, I became consumed by a sense of powerlessness. The stalker, elusive and cunning, seemed to anticipate my every move. I would catch glimpses of a dark figure in my peripheral vision, a fleeting silhouette that vanished before I could confirm its presence. The weight of their gaze bore down on me, an oppressive force that left me perpetually on edge. Weeks turned into months, and the line between reality and paranoia blurred. The once familiar streets of my neighborhood became a labyrinth of fear, each corner concealing the potential for a chilling encounter. Friends and family grew distant, unable to comprehend the torment I endured. The stalker's presence was an invisible barrier, isolating me from the warmth of human connection. As I gazed into the rearview mirror one fateful night, the headlights that had become the harbingers of my nightmares were gone. Relief washed over me, a fleeting moment of respite. Perhaps, I dared to hope, the torment was finally over. But the reprieve was short-lived. As I parked my car and stepped into the dim glow of my porch, a cold gust of wind whispered through the silence. I turned, and there, in the flickering shadows, stood the stalker. A figure cloaked in darkness, features obscured, but the malevolence palpable. Time stood still as our eyes locked, and a wicked smile played on their lips. The nightmare had no end. The stalker, unrelenting and faceless, continued to haunt the periphery of my existence. The rearview mirror became a portal to the unknown, a constant reminder that in the shadows, a relentless watcher waited, reveling in the twisted game they had orchestrated. I was trapped, a prisoner of my own fear, as the stalker's presence lingered like a ghost in the rearview mirror, an ever-present shadow in the dark. It all began innocently enough, with a soft, unfamiliar ring cutting through the silence of my cozy apartment late one night. At first, I dismissed it as a wrong number or a telemarketer, the usual intruders of our private spaces. However, as the calls persisted, each one arriving at the stroke of midnight, my unease grew into a gnawing sense of dread. The voice on the other end was distorted, a ghostly whisper that seemed to slither through the phone lines. It spoke in riddles, divulging intimate details about my life that sent shivers down my spine. It knew where I worked, the coffee shop I frequented every morning, and even the names of my closest friends. It was as though the caller was a silent observer, perched in the shadows of my existence. I changed my phone number, hoping to sever the unseen connection, but the haunting calls persisted, as if my stalker danced between the frequencies, always a step ahead of my feeble attempts to escape. The police were of little help, dismissing my claims as the product of an overactive imagination. They suggested changing my number again, but the calls followed me, a persistent echo of an unseen presence. Nights became sleepless battles against the haunting whispers. My phone became a cursed artifact, a conduit for the voice that seemed to know more about me than I knew about myself. The relentless intrusions crept into my waking hours, leaving me perpetually on edge, questioning every interaction and scrutinizing every face in the crowd. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city, I received a call that sent chills racing down my spine. The voice on the other end was clearer, the distorted whisper replaced by a chilling certainty. Tonight, when the clock strikes 12, go to the rooftop of your building. Alone. There, you will find what you seek. The line went dead before I could protest or question the cryptic message. Fear constricted my chest, but a morbid curiosity tugged at my rationality. Against my better judgment, I found myself on the rooftop as the clock struck midnight, the city below bathed in an eerie glow. The rooftop was deserted, the cold wind carrying the distant sounds of the city. As I stood there, shivering, I questioned the sanity of my actions. What was I expecting to find? The night held its secrets, and I was about to confront them. Footsteps echoed across the rooftop, not mine but those of an unseen presence. panic set in as I realized that I was not alone. The darkness seemed to coalesce into a silhouette, a figure emerging from the shadows. My heart pounded in my chest as the stranger stepped into the dim light, revealing a face obscured by the hood of a tattered cloak. "I see you seek answers," the figure murmured, the voice echoing the same chilling tones that had haunted my nights. "Why are you doing this?" I stammered, my voice barely audible over the distant hum of the city. The cloaked figure seemed to glide closer, revealing an otherworldly calmness. "I am a mere messenger, a conduit for forces beyond your comprehension. Your life, your every move, is an open book to those who dwell in the shadows. But fear not, for there is a way to break free." A cold breeze swept across the rooftop, carrying with it a sense of inevitability. The figure extended a hand, holding a small, ancient-looking device. It resembled a peculiar blend of technology and mysticism. "Take this," the figure instructed. "A key to silence the whispers, a barrier against the unseen eyes that watch. But remember, knowledge comes at a price, and breaking free from the gaze of the unknown may lead you down a path you cannot escape." I hesitated, my hand hovering over the offered device. The weight of the unknown bore down on me, but the allure of reclaiming my privacy overpowered the fear. I accepted the mysterious object, feeling a surge of power coursing through me. As I clutched the device, the cloaked figure melted back into the shadows, leaving me alone on the rooftop. The night held its secrets, but I now possessed the key to lock them away. With the device in hand, the calls ceased, and the whispers that had tormented my nights fell silent. The relief was palpable, but an unsettling truth lingered in the back of my mind. I had glimpsed the hidden forces that lurked beyond the veil of our ordinary lives, and the path to reclaiming my privacy had opened a door to a realm where mysteries and dangers intertwined. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of the cloaked figure began to fade. I returned to the semblance of a normal life, the haunting calls now relegated to the realm of nightmares. However, the device remained an ever-present reminder of the thin boundary between the known and the unknowable. Late one night, as I gazed out of my apartment window at the city below, I couldn't shake the feeling that eyes lingered in the darkness. The weight of the unseen gaze returned, and I wondered if the device was truly a shield or merely a temporary reprieve from the inscrutable forces that watched and waited in the shadows. The clock on my bedside table blinked at 3 a.m. as I lay in bed, my eyes wide open, listening intently to the silence that enveloped my apartment. For weeks, I had been tormented by a haunting presence, the relentless sound of footsteps echoing outside my bedroom window each night. At first, I dismissed it as the creaks and groans of an old building settling into the stillness of the night. But as the rhythmic pacing persisted, a cold knot of fear tightened in the pit of my stomach. It began innocently enough. A soft shuffle against the gravel below, a slight tap on the window pane. I tried to rationalize it, attributing the sounds to the wind or the neighbors going about their late-night routines. Yet, no matter how hard I tried to shake off the unease, the footsteps continued their eerie dance, a nocturnal ritual that mirrored the contours of my daily life. One night, fueled by a mix of anxiety and curiosity, I mustered the courage to approach the window. My heart pounded as I hesitantly pulled back the curtain, revealing the empty darkness outside. Streetlights cast long shadows, and the stillness of the night seemed to mock my fear. I convinced myself it was paranoia, an overactive imagination playing tricks on my restless mind. As days turned into sleepless nights, the footsteps evolved from a distant murmur to an unmistakable echo. Each night, the unseen intruder traced the same path, from the living room to the kitchen, the bathroom, and back again. I could almost visualize the phantom figure pacing beneath my window, an invisible presence haunting the periphery of my existence. Desperation led me to contact the police, my voice trembling as I described the inexplicable terror that had taken residence in my home. Officers came and went, patrolling the area, but found nothing amiss. The footsteps, as if aware of their pursuers, always vanished before they could be traced. Frustration and fear settled into my bones as I grappled with the realization that I was alone in this nightmarish ordeal. One particularly restless night, I decided to confront the stalker head-on. My nerves tingled as I tiptoed through the darkness, inching closer to the window that separated me from the unseen tormentor. With bated breath, I waited for the first hint of footsteps. Time seemed to stretch infinitely until, once again, the haunting rhythm commenced. As the footsteps approached, I flung open the window, expecting to catch a glimpse of the intruder. To my horror, the night air whispered its secrets, carrying only the distant hum of the city. The footsteps had vanished, leaving me shivering in the cold embrace of the night. Days turned into a blur of anxiety and exhaustion. I sought solace in the company of friends, who dismissed my fears as mere paranoia. But the footsteps persisted, undeterred by the skepticism of those who hadn't felt the weight of the unseen presence that haunted my every moment. One evening, as I sat alone in my dimly lit living room, the atmosphere shifted. The air became charged with an unspoken tension, and a primal instinct warned me that something was about to unfold. The footsteps, now familiar, resonated through the stillness of my apartment. I couldn't take it any longer. Determined to unmask the tormentor, I armed myself with a flashlight and mustered the courage to venture into the night. The footsteps guided my movements, leading me through the labyrinth of my own fears. The city outside slept, oblivious to the nocturnal nightmare that had ensnared my life. The trail of footsteps led me to familiar places: the park where I jogged in the mornings, the corner store where I grabbed my daily coffee. Each step intensified the feeling of being pursued by an unseen force, a malevolent entity that had invaded the sanctuary of my existence. As I rounded a corner, my flashlight caught a fleeting glimpse of movement, a shadow that melted into the darkness. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I pursued the elusive figure, my footsteps echoing in tandem with the haunting rhythm that had tormented my nights. The pursuit led me to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The once imposing structure now stood as a decaying relic, its windows shattered, and its walls bearing the scars of time. The footsteps, now more urgent, guided me to the entrance. As I stepped inside, the air grew heavy with the stench of neglect. The darkness swallowed my flashlight's feeble beam, casting eerie shadows that danced along the cavernous space. The footsteps, no longer confined to the periphery, enveloped me in their haunting embrace. I hesitated, my senses heightened by the suffocating atmosphere. The footsteps led me deeper into the bowels of the warehouse, where the silence was broken only by the rhythmic echoes of my own breath. The realization struck me. I was walking into the heart of the unknown, willingly stepping into a trap laid by a phantom adversary. The trail eventually led me to a small, dimly lit room. The door creaked open with a haunting groan, revealing a scene that sent shivers down my spine. Photographs covered the walls, a collage of my life captured in stolen moments. The stalker had meticulously documented my every move, from the mundane to the deeply personal. A cold sweat broke across my forehead as I scanned the room, my eyes fixated on a figure standing in the shadows. The stalker, a silhouette devoid of features, emerged from the darkness. The footsteps ceased, replaced by a tense silence that hung in the air like a heavy curtain. With a voice that echoed with an unsettling familiarity, the figure spoke, revealing an intimate knowledge of my fears and vulnerabilities. The stalker's words painted a chilling portrait of obsession, a twisted dance that had ensnared me in a web of fear and paranoia. The encounter was brief, the figure melting back into the shadows as quickly as it had appeared. Alone in the dimly lit room, I grappled with the surreal reality of the confrontation. The stalker, once an unseen phantom, had materialized before me, leaving behind a room filled with the unsettling evidence of their obsession. As I stumbled out of the warehouse, the first light of dawn kissed the horizon. The city slowly stirred from its slumber, oblivious to the nocturnal nightmare that had consumed my life. The footsteps, now a distant memory, echoed in the recesses of my mind, a haunting reminder of a battle fought in the shadows. In the aftermath, I sought therapy to unravel the trauma inflicted by the relentless pursuit. The stalker remained elusive, their identity forever shrouded in mystery. The footsteps, once a source of dread, faded into the background, replaced by the slow healing of time. The experience left an indelible mark on my psyche, a haunting tale of a battle fought against an unseen adversary. The footsteps, though silenced, served as a constant reminder that the boundary between the known and the unknown is fragile, and the shadows that lurk in the corners of our lives may hold secrets darker than we can fathom. I'd always prided myself on being tech-savvy, but nothing could prepare me for the chilling descent into digital madness that awaited me. It all began innocently enough with a series of mysterious messages that started infiltrating my online life. Late one evening, as I was scrolling through my emails, I noticed an unfamiliar message with a subject line that sent shivers down my spine. "I know what you did today." My heart raced as I opened the email, expecting some elaborate prank or spam. Instead, the message was a detailed account of my day, from the morning coffee run to the exact time I left the office. Panic set in as I realized these weren't random observations. They were precise details only someone intimately familiar with my routine could know. I frantically changed my email password, thinking that would be the end of it. But the haunting messages persisted, each one more invasive than the last. It wasn't just emails anymore. My social media accounts became a breeding ground for unnerving revelations. Private conversations with friends were quoted verbatim, and even my most personal thoughts seemed to be laid bare for this mysterious stalker. Nights turned into sleepless hours spent scouring my online presence for vulnerabilities. I enabled two-factor authentication on every account, but the messages continued, mocking my feeble attempts to regain control. The stalker seemed to revel in the psychological torment, always staying one step ahead of my efforts to thwart them. As the days wore on, the messages evolved from mere observations to subtle threats. The stalker, hidden behind the anonymity of the digital realm, taunted me with cryptic warnings about the fragility of my seemingly secure life. They mentioned places I'd visited that day, people I'd interacted with, and even delved into my past, dredging up incidents I'd long since buried. Desperation gripped me as I sought the help of cybersecurity experts and law enforcement. Yet, the digital trail left by my tormentor was elusive, a maze of proxies, encrypted messages, and dead ends. The more I struggled to break free, the tighter the web of intrusion became. It was as if the stalker reveled in the challenge, taking sadistic pleasure in turning my once private life into a twisted game. One day, as I sat in front of my computer, a new message appeared on the screen. The stalker's tone shifted from taunts to a chilling invitation. "Meet me where it all began." The message read, accompanied by a location and time. It was an eerily familiar place, the cafe where I'd first noticed the intrusion into my digital existence. Curiosity mingled with fear as I debated whether to confront my faceless adversary. Against my better judgment, I found myself at the cafe, the hum of the espresso machine a dissonant soundtrack to my anxious thoughts. As I nervously glanced around, a figure in the shadows caught my eye, a silhouette obscured by the dim lighting. I approached cautiously, heart pounding in my chest. The figure stepped forward, revealing themselves to be a nondescript person, their features obscured by a hood. A modulated voice echoed through the empty cafe, the words carrying an unsettling familiarity. They spoke of a shared past, secrets I thought were buried, and sins I believed were forgotten. The stalker knew me intimately, and as the hood fell back, I stared into the eyes of someone I never expected, a long-lost friend, presumed dead years ago. The shock of recognition and the flood of memories threatened to overwhelm me. This friend, presumed lost to the world, had orchestrated an elaborate ruse to re-enter my life. They explained their motives with a mix of resentment and obsession, weaving a tale of betrayal and revenge that spanned the years we'd been apart. It turned out that our paths had diverged after a falling out, and my friend had nursed a grudge, watching from the shadows as I built a new life. Unable to move on, they delved into the dark corners of the internet, acquiring the skills to infiltrate my digital existence. The stalker revealed how they meticulously gathered information, exploiting every vulnerability in my online presence, and creating an intricate web of surveillance. Their motive, it seemed, was to expose the flaws in my carefully constructed life, to lay bare the imperfections they believed I'd hidden. It was a twisted form of revenge, a desperate attempt to reclaim a sense of control over a past that had slipped through their fingers. As the truth unfolded, I grappled with a complex mix of emotions. betrayal, disbelief, and a lingering sense of pity for a person consumed by resentment. The revelation offered closure, but the scars left by the invasion of privacy ran deep. In the aftermath, I sought legal recourse against my once friend turned stalker. The legal system, however, struggled to adapt to the complexities of cybercrime, leaving me with a sense of vulnerability in the digital age. The experience left me forever changed, a cautionary tale of the blurred boundaries between the real and virtual worlds and the haunting persistence of those seeking to shatter them.